Hi, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. My partner, Kristen Oaks-White, will join us a little later in the show. As we record this show, Hurricane Laura is approaching southwest Louisiana as a Category 4 storm. That would make Laura the strongest hurricane on record to make landfall in Cameron Parish. The National Hurricane Center issued a statement that the storm surge associated with Laura is unsurvivable. The threat to human life and property is undeniable, but there's also a lot of agriculture in that part of the state. Ranchers moved cattle to higher ground. Rice farmers rushed to harvest their fields. LSU Ag Center climatologist and WAFB-TV chief meteorologist Jay Grimes says the storm may move quickly, but recovery will take some time.
Here we are, Laura finally moving out of the state, but we've still got the impacts. The wind damage has been extensive throughout western and central Louisiana, and rain totals, well, that certainly created a problem for a large swath of the state. So farmers are not only picking up after the damage from the winds, but it could be days before some of them can get back into their fields.
Louisiana Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, says when you do return, be cautious of high water.
Where the water is elevated, you need to be careful. There are a lot of things that come out of the water up onto the roads and the levees. You will see wildlife. You could see alligators on the levee. You will see deers on the levee. There will be snakes on the levee. If you're in a boat, please be careful, because if you're going under low-lying limbs that may be, on the tops of trees, again, there can be snakes there as well.
Again, we're limited by our production schedule here on the TV show, but we're posting updates and video from the field on our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. You can find links to all of our social media outlets on our website at twilatv.org. While Laura and Marco were making their way across the Gulf, farmers across Louisiana were scrambling to harvest their crops ahead of the wind and rain. Corn harvest has rolled along at an incredible pace. According to the latest USDA crop progress report, Louisiana farmers harvested around 40% of the corn crop in the past week, likely even more over the past few days with the storms in the Gulf. This week, we meet one of those farmers racing the storms to bring in his Caldwell Parish corn crop.
Hey, I'm David Guerrero. I farm in Bosco, Louisiana, and Riverton, just north of Columbia. We farm about 2,000 acres of corn and soybeans. You work real hard all year from daylight to dark, and you lay out poly pipe, and you spend money, and right before harvest, the anticipation of seeing a good crop. But getting up in the morning to go harvest is really easy when you're cutting some good, good corn. If you're cutting 120 bushel corn, it may not be the easiest to get up in the morning, especially at $3. But if it's a good crop, it's a lot easier to get up and do it, Corn yields are a lot better than last year, I'd say above average. We've had from 200, we've had north of 200, and it really hadn't come down below that a whole lot. So we're real happy right now with the corn yields, everything's turning out real good. We got some timely rains and irrigated in between the rains, and pollination season was real good to us. The weather just really cooperated really well this year. It's just in my blood, My family has been farmers for generations, and I've tried other jobs, and it's just the love for it, You talk about get out of bed in the morning, you work at other jobs that you really just don't like, and you put your 2 feet on the floor and you say, Jesus help me, I can't stand my job. It makes it bad, but when you get up, when you do what you love, and it makes it a lot easier to get up in the morning. But just being outside, being around my dad and my son, farming the family ground that my grandpa and my uncles, they all worked for. It gives you a good feeling, and plus you're doing something, to feed the world. Our little piece of heaven right here maybe don't feed as many people as you would want to believe, but it's feeding somebody and it's helping somebody. This is my dream job, and I love it.
Many farmers like Guerrero also have a lot of soybeans in their fields. About 10% of beans have been harvested in Louisiana. That leaves a lot of vulnerable acres across the state this week. To round out the major crops being harvested right now, rice harvest is at the 85% mark and likely much farther along since farmers have been helping neighbors harvest leading up to the landfall of Hurricane Laura. Food waste is an issue that's gained more traction in recent years. Now, thanks to a native Louisiana insect and a transplant from South Africa, we might have a solution to some of that problem. Twila's Neil Melanson introduces us to the black soldier fly, an old Louisiana inhabitant with some new, exciting possibilities.
This is the future. Okay, maybe that's a little gross, but these are the larvae of the black soldier fly, a native of Louisiana, and they may look unappealing, but their impact has some prospects. They're being bred at Fluker Farms in Port Allen, where owner David Fluker says he's putting money on their future.
You know, this is to feed other animals. That's pretty much what the crickets are used for, the mealworms and the other insects. So in some ways, this is the exact same thing that we already do. It's just a natural extension of what we currently do. But then again, it's also got the recycle aspects, which I really love.
As you've seen from my previous stories with yellow jackets, I'm used to creepy crawlies, and fortunately, these things don't even sting. So that's a big plus for me. They don't have mouth parts, so they can't bite. But they do have, they are a little wiggly. What they do have, though, is a number of uses, including industrial uses like building concrete, and they can be used in cosmetics, as well as, of course, food for livestock.
If we're talking generally, black soldier fly can eat any waste from manure off of a farm to a burger off of someone's plate. They're able to decompose just about any organic material that isn't extremely high in lignans, woods, or chlorophylls, which they tend to struggle with. So basically, it's any organic matter that we can't eat or we don't eat, including stuff like farm wastes to a certain extent.
Devin is a transplant from South Africa where successful programs like this one have been put into place. He's coordinating efforts here in the U.S. where several other universities are trying to follow LSU's lead.
We linked up with LSU Sustainability, and they helped us establish a waste collection system that we have throughout the dining halls at LSU. So essentially once a week, we collect waste from LSU, we bring it out to our site here where we grow our black soldier fly, and we process it and portion it out to black soldier fly to allow them to feed and basically reduce that amount of waste. We get larvae out of that to make some money back off of that system, while LSU gets the residual, which is a good fertilizer. And we're actually doing a bunch of research on that right now to see how good it is to be used on LSU campuses.
And while they may feed on a gross soup of food waste and turn into wiggling worms, they may yet help us address food waste, turning it into a product everyone can use. For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Neil Melanson reporting.
At the beginning of August, LSU won the 2020 Sustainability Innovation Award for its efforts in using the black soldier fly to address food waste on campus. The plan is to divert 75% of campus waste from the landfill by the year 2030. Sugarcane harvest will begin in less than a month. For one farmer in Acadiana, some of his cane will not be going to the mill, but directly into a bottle.
How you think the crop look this year, Jar?
Eddie Lewis III and his brother Jordan are checking out their cane field in Youngsville. This fifth-generation sugarcane farmer is assessing the growth by counting the joints on the stalk.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Definitely ready to plant.
And Eddie Lewis is looking to grow his business by taking less cane to the mill.
My job is to produce the freshest cane on the market.
That freshest cane goes here into a drink called Boomy Cane Water, a drink developed by a table tennis athlete from India who moved to the States and wanted to create a new drink.
They were looking to partner with minority sugarcane farmers, and they had a great idea, they had a great product, and they had a great vibe.
Lewis is one of the few black farmers in Louisiana who grows sugarcane, and also one of the few sugarcane farmers who grows organic sugarcane. Lewis began cold pressing his cane specifically for Boomy.
We have the ginger for recovery, then we have turmeric immunity. This is my favorite one. I have a little inflammation, so that definitely helps out with my energy, hydration, and, you know, gets me going.
And Lewis says it does more than get him going. Last season, he shared Boomy with his workers in the middle of a hot planting season.
They tried it, and it was like giving the guys 5-hour energies. It was natural. They were energized. They were hydrated, and they said it tasted great. And I mean, you know, these guys are sugarcane workers planting in the fields, and they're like, where can you get it? And I'm like, this is a pretty high-end product. This is the real deal, you know. And they're like, we want it. And I'm like, okay, this works. When you have your sugarcane workers saying this works and they're willing to buy it and support you.
I've tried all the varieties of Boomy, and I can tell you they're delicious. I'm especially fond of the turmeric cane water. If you would like to learn more about Boomy, visit our website at twilatv.org. Still to come on Twila, we head to Crying Eagle Brewery to taste some Louisiana rice in one of my favorite ways. Field to Feast is next.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito on here.
I got a fish! I got a fish!
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
It's a well-known fact that here in Louisiana, sugarcane is more than just a crop. It's a way of life. It creates more than 16,000 jobs across the state and an additional $3 billion boost to our state's economy. And Louisiana's cane families always give back to the communities where we live, work, and play. Louisiana sugarcane, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
Welcome to Field to Feast, where we profile Louisiana and its local ingredients. Today, we're at Crying Eagle Brewing Company in Lake Charles, where we get to learn all about the neat things they're brewing up using Louisiana rice.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
I'm Bill Mungai. I'm the brewmaster here at Crying Eagle Brewing Company. I make all the beer, design all the recipes, kind of oversee the whole production of all of our different products.
Designing the recipes, that sounds so interesting because we're talking about beer. What does that mean?
Beer's mostly made out of barley, but there's other ingredients involved. You have to it's kind of like making a soup. That you make a really sugary sort of soup, and then you feed it to yeast and let it sit for a couple of weeks, and it turns into this amazing product beer. There's a lot of chemistry, science, sort of things involved to try and get a nice balanced, good tasting product.
Well, I know that a lot of people love to dabble in being a brewmaster on the side and at home and things like that. But how did you get started in this? What does this entail?
I was an avid home brewer for 12, 13 years. brewing all the time, constantly just making the same beer over and over again, trying to perfect a whole bunch of different recipes. And then I got the opportunity to come here to Crying Eagle and go professional. It's pretty much the same thing. I went from 15-gallon pots to 1,000-gallon pots over a weekend. But it's all the same science and math and all that sort of stuff. It's just a lot bigger, and your mistakes cost a lot more.
When we were talking about farming and ingredients, in particular, we were talking about the fact that you use rice with your beer, including this one. Can you talk to me about that?
When we were getting started, I really wanted to try and use some local ingredients. So we worked with the farmer's rice mill that's just a few miles down the road, and we're able to buy broken rice from them that they can't sell because it's not pretty enough to the main market. But we're able to use it in production of our beer. Rice and corn and that sort of thing are used in very light beers to keep the color light and the flavor light, but also to give you fermentable sugars that you can then turn into beer. We have 2 beers now currently featuring Louisiana rice. Our first one was our Louisiana Lager, kind of our flagship, our bestseller. 30% rice, a very difficult brew to make sure the rice doesn't turn into a giant sticky mess. But it's a very nice light flavor to the beer. And the beer we have in front of us right now is our second rice beer. This is our Louisiana Light Lager. It's
delicious.
Same recipe, it's just a little more lighter in calories, lighter in flavor. The kind of beer you can have several of, maybe while you're cutting the grass or just enjoying the outdoors without getting, losing your facilities. And
growing up on a farm the way that you did, what is the importance to you in using local Louisiana ingredients?
It's always important to have the local ties to the community here. Being a small business, we try to work with other small businesses, and you don't get any smaller business than farmers. They've been the original small business forever here, so we're always trying to partner with the Louisiana farms for the rice, but also with our other ingredients from around the world. We try to partner with smaller farms and producers, and you end up with the best quality products, and then you're able to make additional quality products out of them. And then we love to work with other community institutions. We have coffee roasters locally, and different bakeries and different restaurants and things where we've used some of their ingredients in beer as well. So it's very important to have all these community linkages and tie-ins, and you got to start with the small farmer, though. That's the heartblood of everything.
Well, thank you for having us today. I will certainly be bringing a lot of this home with me because I'm here so I can purchase, but this is absolutely delicious. Cheers.
Excellent. Cheers.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program, and you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
Make your emergency plan today.
Out from the brew room and into the bar here at Crying Eagle Brewing Company. And we're with Amber J, and we're about to make some beer tails. First of all, I've never heard the word beer tail. What is this?
Well, this is a collaboration we made whenever we decided to bring liquor to Crying Eagle. We're still a brewery first and foremost, so we wanted to incorporate all of our beers and just kind of switch it up a little bit. So beer tails are cocktails that we also use our beers in.
I absolutely love the phrase beer tail. I've just never even heard that. It's so exciting for me. So what beer are we going to use first?
So Louisiana Lager is our flagship beer, our number one seller.
Using Louisiana rice.
Exactly. So the beer tail that we're making right now is going to be the Louisiana Honeybee.
Okay.
So it's made with Buffalo Trace bourbon, smoked rosemary, honey, simple syrup.
Oh, it sounds delicious.
It's very deep on that. And some lemon juice, and we top it off with our Louisiana Lager.
Wonderful. I'm ready. Show me how it's made. So the beer ends up being like a topper.
Exactly.
To a
it adds a good little effervescence to the cocktail. And then I tried not to overpower the beer with whatever we make because you really want it to shine. So it kind of, all the ingredients just complement the beer and the notes in the beer.
I guess it's just really interesting because it's almost turning a cocktail on its head. I've seen beer that was then, a shot was put on top of the beer or something like that, a topper. Yeah. But I've never seen
an actual full cocktail made with it.
Yes, and so what did we use next?
So that was the Buffalo Trace, the honey simple syrup, and the lemon, and then I'm going to top it with the Louisiana Lager.
All right, so not too many ingredients.
We want the beer still to shine. It's still our number one.
Look how delicious.
And then we'll just top it with a cute little rosemary sprig.
Did you say this was a smoked rosemary?
It is a smoked rosemary. So in the simple syrup making process, we make all of our syrups here. I use a torch and flame the rosemary. We trap the smoke and then make the honey infusion.
See, I just love all these little tricks. My first beer tail. I'll tell you how it is. I am completely sold.
You like
this? Yes. I want it to be winter. I want it to be snowing. I want to be by the fireplace, and I want to be sipping on this all night long. This is delicious. Well, I was just in the brew room with Bill, and I thought he had the best job ever. But now it's a toss-up because it very well might be you with the best job ever.
And it gives me a chance to be creative, and we do have seasonal menus. So all of the beer tails and the cocktail list, we change. So we're going to do a different winter list. They change with the beers that we brew.
All right, what's up next?
All right, so this is the Bayou Heat, and this is made with our Bayou Satsuma rum made right there in Lacassine.
Okay.
And
yes.
Then,
oh, what a pretty color on that.
Right? It's beautiful, and I love the
gator bite.
And it turns the cocktail into a beautiful color. So this is Bayou Satsuma rum.
Gorgeous. It is. It's the color of the Satsuma.
It's a infused homemade simple syrup of jalapenos. So it gives it, that's the heat for the Bayou Heat.
Oh, my friend Darlene needs to be with me right now.
About a quarter ounce of lemon juice. And then we're going to top it with our Louisiana lime.
I just love this idea. I never thought of beer as the topper. It was always kind of
like a soda or anything else. It's always on its own. But, you know.
I love it. Instead of a gin and tonic, you're having a such and such and beer. With a jalapeno on top. The name of this one again?
Bayou Heat.
Bayou Heat. I'm not scared. This is my favorite.
It's your favorite? See, that's a very summer cocktail. It's light, refreshing, and gives a little bit of heat on the back, a little burn on the back end.
We had so much fun here today at Crying Eagle Microbrewery, and if you would like to know more about the ingredients here, the beer here, or come see them, you can visit us for more information at twilatv.org.
Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner, and by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, think rice.
Greetings from Natchez, Mississippi. As we're shooting this show, it's Thursday morning, and for a few hours, Hurricane Laura has rolled in here, and we're just getting the outer bands, but it is still a Category 2 storm. And as you can see, we're getting a live wind here. We've had wind gusts of about 50 miles an hour, and we're not even in the center of the storm, and we certainly didn't catch what southwestern Louisiana areas around Lake Charles did. But for the past week across the state, farmers have been working at a feverish pace, trying to get their crops harvested before the storm rolled in. Along the coast, livestock producers have also moved their herds to higher ground to avoid the dangerous storm surge and flood waters that Laura predicted to deliver upon arrival. In Grand Chenier, Little Pecan Cattle Ranch loaded up their herd of cattle to head north before the storm hit their farm. They posted this message on Facebook along with these powerful photos. Hurricane season brings a humbling reminder that despite our technologies, most of nature remains unpredictable. With the last load of cattle finally heading north, we can't help but be thankful. Over the past few days of preparation for Hurricane Laura, friends and family have traveled from near and far to assist in the evacuation of our cattle. Trying times like these remind us why we call this tiny piece of paradise our home. Like so many others in Southwest Louisiana, our dedication to this land and way of life dates back hundreds of years, and we value it just as those before us. The story is the same at many farms across the state. Neighbors banding together to help each other in any way possible to prepare for this catastrophic storm. Benjamin Page posted this photo from Jennings, Louisiana, where neighbors brought in combines to help harvest this rice crop before the storm destroyed it in the field. Even in the Delta region of Northeast Louisiana, farmers are working late into the night to get their crop out before the rain soaks their fields. Just across the Louisiana-Texas state line, officials shut down this high island bridge to move a herd of cattle to higher ground ahead of the storm. Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry's 2 mobile pet shelters left the Baton Rouge headquarters early Wednesday morning to staging areas ahead of Hurricane Laura. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries was ready Wednesday morning to deploy more than 170 search and rescue agents, all equipped with vessels and trucks staged across the state, ready to roll into flooded areas for Hurricane Laura. As Laura continues to move across the state, please keep Louisiana's farmers and ranchers in your thoughts and prayers. This could not happen at a more critical time of the year for them, as they're right in the middle of harvest season, and for many of them, their livelihoods are still out there in the field, and this storm could cause catastrophic damage. In Louisiana, we've been through storms like this before, and we will certainly go through more in the future. It's just part of what comes with living in this part of the country. But we're strong in Louisiana, and we're stronger when we band together and help each other out through difficult times. That does it for this edition of Twila. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll put all of our stories there, and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find all of our stories there, as well as our website at twilatv.org. For all of us here at Twila, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.